Hello, everybody. Welcome along. This is the Sable Society. I am Maree Busky, and if you are here, it's because you're a Sable. You may have stash acquired beyond your life expectancy. This is a podcast which is sort of about knitting, sometimes about events, and just generally me rambling on about the things that I'm making and creating on any given day, any given week, in any given month, in any given year. So, welcome along. I wasn't intending to come and have a chat to you today, but I had a window of time, all the ducks sort of lined up, and I just thought I would give you an update on what is happening with the Knit Australia Nights, Knit August Nights, and what's currently on the needles. I'll start with the events. Knit Australia Nights is absolutely chugging along beautifully. Registrations are still open, and we now have a number of classes that are sold out. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, head to knitaustralianights.com. It is an event that we're holding in the Saturday, Sunday, Monday prior to the Australian Sheep and Wool Show in Bendigo in Victoria. So if you're already travelling to that show, you're able to tack this on at the beginning of the week and actually do some incredible classes with some of the best from Australia, being Catherine Trippett, who's sort of my partner in crime in this, Kathy Vasick, who's a crochet tutor, and Joe Barr from Jam Hats doing wheat felted hat workshops. And then we've also got some of the best here in New Zealand, being, of course, the wonderful Libby Johnson from Truly Myrtle and Lisa Craig from Lisa F Designs. And Catherine has also managed to get the incredible Rika from Nona Tamari to come and do a Tamari workshop as well. Still tickets available in that. So do check that out. And I'm also now in the middle of pulling together Knit August Nights. I've spoken to some of the tutors. I'm just now sort of playing around, looking at, I spoke to a lot last year before we finished, but I'm looking at what we've got left, what sort of classes, just sort of trying to do that little jigsaw. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping that, well, definitely before the end of the month, that I will get that up on the Knit August Nights website of what will be available, so you can start planning for registrations to open for that event on the 1st of May here in Napier. You never know, if you're somebody who loves Bendigo, you might want to pop over and do that as well, or vice versa. Yeah, so that's how things are tracking along with the events, which is great news. In terms of what have I been up to? Well, if you've been following this, you'll know that I'm in the middle of Hatageddon. I've got this whole crazy jam about making hats at the moment. It all started with my second son, who's now at university, just started at Canterbury University. It's cold down there. And in fact, he video called me yesterday and he had his beanie on. And I said to him, "Is it cold, mate?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's really cold." And I don't know where you live, but certainly here, it's a stunning day here in Hawke's Bay today. But it is chilly. It's almost like the autumn light switch has been turned on. And you're certainly needing an extra layer here and there. So I made the hats for my son and all his friends that were going to Christchurch. I also gave hats to my oldest son and his roommate. And then I just kept making them because I have all these scraps of yarn. And usually I would make scrappy crochet blankets out of them, but I've got so many of them. Like honestly, if you ever come to my house, I've got these crochet blankets everywhere. And they were really handy when I had a slew of teenagers staying here. And the kids, I had them all rolled up in a place, and the boys all know where to get them so they can, hunker down on couches and chairs and recliners and spare beds and the like. But of course, I'm an empty nester now, so I don't need another blanket. So I've kept making hats. I've just kept making hats. So I thought I'd show you some of the hats that I've made, some of the yarns that are in there, some of the combinations and the mixtures that I've got. I've got one more bag full of yarn, and I think once I've completed that bag, I'm going to put a pause on the hats. I say this to myself now. I'm going to put a pause on the hats and actually get onto the sweater that my son wants me to make for him while he's at uni, because I do need to get onto that. And I'm going away in a couple of weeks over to South Australia. I'm really looking forward to that, going to South Australia. So I was having some time in Adelaide and then up into the Barossa Valley. We're going to visit some good friends. So I think I want to take, instead of taking the hat projects, well, they're easy, I have to admit, I may just take the hat projects, but I think makes sense that I take my son's sweater, and then that way, when I've got knitting time, it's just quite nice and mindless. I just need to sit down and map out what I'm going to do, because it's a design as you go job. I've got some measurements based on a sweater I already own. He likes the stitch pattern on that particular sweater. I've got the fit on him, so I know what sort of basic adjustments that I need to make, but it will be enough to at least get me started. And I've even swatched it. So, I've got no excuse really. I need to get it started. I'm procrastinating. I'm procrastinating. Right. So let's start with a hat that I've currently got on the needles, which is this one here. Ta-da! Look at that. Right, and I am now getting down to the brass tacks of what I've got left in terms of yarn. I even found that's some homespun that I found in the bottom of a bag the other day that'll get incorporated. So what I'm doing at the moment is I've got lots of this stuff which is slightly finer. My spinning has a tendency, that's a Sable Society there. My spinning has a tendency to be around a sort of a sport weight, which that is, that's a 4-ply Icelandic, which I am going to be bringing to Knit Australia Nights. And then, of course, this is the Sable Society Enigma Mohair. So what I'm doing now with these sort of slightly finer weights, because these hats that I do are DK, is I'm doing some double stranding and creating these fun marls. So you can see I had this last little bit. This was some Bellevue Park. No, it might have been Millpost actually. This was some Millpost merino, which is an Australian merino. That one at the bottom was a Skeins Rando. I think that was one of those Skeins dip dyes. I've got to the very last of that. And then this first portion here was the last of a homespun that I had. I'm going to show you some more of that in another hat that I've got there. And I've now moved over to this one here, which is this. And I haven't quite decided, and I've just gone and pulled a random lemon out. It doesn't, with these mohairs, it doesn't really matter what colour it is. It really doesn't. I haven't quite decided whether I'll do all of the rest of the hat in that, because I will have enough, or whether I introduce this little guy here. I haven't quite decided. But that's the one that's currently on the needles. If I get time this afternoon, I'll probably finish that. To be honest, it's the ribbing and the first bottom part of this part, temple part, that takes the longest. So that's what I've got on the needles at the minute. If you're wondering about the pattern, as I said, it's made up, but it is actually roughly based on, I think, the Kogo beanies, the Knit One Give One, and I work it on 122 stitches. One stitch either end is selvage, because as you can see, I'm not knitting those in the round. I'm knitting them flat. And there is a reason for that, but it's a me reason. I can knit them in the round, have done them in the round. I like knitting them in the flat. I don't know why. It's me. I'm old. I'm weird. And so when you've got, if you take the two selvage stitches off, which you use, if you're knitting them in the flat, you want those there to make your world's most fabulous mattress stitch. Is that 120 is a great number for crown shaping. It's a perfect sort of, for making things just the right size. So this is a little pile that I've done since I've spoken to you last. Maybe one of these I may have already completed. So we went down and we delivered Sun to Christchurch, and it was, mummy moment. And this is the one that I knitted. This was the hat that got knitted in the trip to Christchurch. And now that I look at it, it kind of looks a little bit like a booby. It's because I ran, and I just suddenly realised that now as I held it up. Law of unintended consequences because of the colour and everything. Anyway, moving right along. This is the stitch patterning that I have, this lovely mosaic slip stitching. It looks really pretty there, doesn't it? That I do for the cowl, the Harding Road cowl, the Harding Road hat, which of this is loosely based on. I've done an extra long temple portion in this because I wanted a wee bit more slouch in this one. And of course, I then what I didn't realise, I didn't quite have enough, so I added that at the end, which then looks very nipple-like. Sorry about that. That was not the intention. Gorgeous, lovely Polworth that, yeah, it is actually a Polworth. The pink is a Polworth, the cream is a Polworth from Skeins, and the hand dyed, I've got a funny feeling, was a Polworth as well. So that wasn't intentional. I didn't intend to put all three Polworths together, but that's just how it rolled. And another variation on a theme there, same stitch patterning. And I'm just going to hold this up and show you. Look at the difference, like the patterning. See how with an optical illusion, with colour, how, I mean, that's exactly the same stitch pattern, but how you actually play with colour plays with what your eyes actually see with the tessellation, which is kind of cool. It's like, you know, one of those magic sort of eye puzzle things. So that's this one here. That blue I mentioned before, with the one that I cast on with, that I'm working with, that's it in there, which was the dip dye. I think that was just like a, I don't think it was anything special. I think it was just like a Perrindale or something like that from Skeins. There's more of that cream Polworth that appears in the other. And then this silver, I didn't realise I still had some of that silver left. That silver, I knitted a Sunday morning shawl. Is it Sunday morning? I think it was. Yeah, it's the one that had the slip stitches. It was like all the rage on Ravelry about 15 years ago. I found that. I knitted that rather in the Scotland. This is what this one is here, and this is going to lead into our conversation with what's in that bag over there. And I didn't realise I still had any of that, and that's some Gotland that we'd done for a contract, which I cannot say what the contract was, but it was a contract that we'd done. Think very famous movie franchise. Put two and two together. Yes, and this was just some leftover. I think it was may have even been like thread wasty bits, and I remember having it. I meticulously went through and wound it all, and yeah, and I didn't realize I had any left. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's that one there. I'm going to put this on. I'll put this on. So I did the same thing. I added a little bit of extra slouch to this, so then that way I can do. Oh, there we go. Do that with it. So then you get a little bit of extra slouch at the back. So I'll leave that on. There we go. So this one is more slouchy. A lot of these others are more toque-like. So it just depends on what you prefer. To get the slouch, you just need to add extra ribbing there and more width there, basically. I also did another one of these, very similar to this, slightly brighter colours, that I left with the BFF when I was in Auckland, when I dropped number one son back to Auckland. So and I didn't even photograph it, completely forgot. He wanted another one for going out and dealing with the horses, so I went and did that for him. And then I sort of got back, and I think this is one, I may have shown you this one last time, which was some more of that mohair mixed with an ombre print. Now, this one is definitely in the taupe end of things. But it just also shows you how small, even though this one's, oopsie, longer in the crown, but just with gauge, see how that one's smaller, that one is? Just a little bit smaller because of the fact that it's using a single roving plus that thing, plus the mohair, which probably takes it, its ideal gauge would have been around 24 stitches as opposed to 22, but it still makes a really lovely little hat and super soft. So there's that one there, and then I thought I'd do another one. So this one is the Sable Society. This is actually all Sable Society. This one hasn't been pressed. The others have. So this was, again, I've just had this part ball left, single part ball of the colour Helix. And I have mixed that with that lemon mohair. This is some of that Millpost merino that I had at the bottom. And yeah, just gone and created that. It kind of looks a little bit like a watermelon, really, doesn't it? It's quite sweet. So that's loads of fun. So I've got that. And then these are, we're into scrappy territory. So instead of diving into, I've got a big bag full of actually lots of full balls, part balls of different colours. I took the bag that I had, that I've started with a whole bunch of the hats that I did last time, or lots of smaller little bits and pieces. So I thought, no, I'm not going to dive into, I know if that's almost a full ball or a 75 gram ball or whatever gram ball that I've got. Instead of doing that, I thought, no, I'm going to clean up all these little scrappy bits and pieces from the first run of hats that I did. And you'll probably recognize a number of the yarns there. So that was that Zalana possum that I did. That one appeared in another one of the hats, more of the Zalana. There's the Kelly & Co. This here, this is fascinating. This one here is the single roving. That is this. But it's also a brown chocolate coloured 4-ply Arrow Power that I also had floating around, and I double stranded those two together. So that's the base yarn there, Sans Mohair, with that chocolate brown. Isn't actually that a fantastic fabric? I think it's a really cool fabric. I was like, oh, oh, I could actually do a whole, ooh, I like that. And then this one here at the top, isn't that cool? That is I think it's a merino linen blend, which I got from Union Fibre back in the day. And then I didn't quite have enough. And then so right there at the very tip is, what's that? That is actually some more possum, which I did on one of the others. So that is literally a hat made up of all the leftover bits and pieces from all the first lot of hats that I did for my sons, for my son and his friends. So it's a real mixture, that one, but it's, again, lovely and soft and loads of fun. And then I got onto these two, again, same sort of concept. So that many of you will recognise that. If you're watching Delene, I'll know you'll look at that and you go, Stornoway! It's one of your absolute favourites. I think it's Stornoway. Oh, no, it's not. No, that's Cove. That's Smuggler's Den and Cove. Look at that. Yes, I forgot I had that. That's a purple, very like Stornoway, which is Highlander Heathers from Skeins, both from Skeins. That's a one-off. I love that. It's a real alpaca blend. Then in here, so this little guy here, and you can see it there and there, is that Icelandic that I just showed you, that single ball. That, honestly, that part ball has done so much. And that is that double-stranded. In fact, that is that double-stranded with this homespun, because this was like a homespun of an ombre of a whole bunch of little minis. So that, which was when it was in the greens and the purples, so it's that double-stranded with what this one is up here to create that stripe. I know, right? Honestly, the things you can do with scraps. So that's what that is. And then this little guy here, if you were a fan of Chatswood from Skeins, that one was called Padstow, which is this beautiful mother of pearl shade that they did. Absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. If you ever got any Padstow, because I think it sold out even before I left. It was a gorgeous colour. So that was Padstow. This one here was one of the very first Ian Kelly dip dyes that we did at Skeins. It was called Dragon's Breath. So if you ever got any Dragon's Breath, that's what that one is. I only had a single... in fact, I don't even think I had a full skein. I think I even had one of the little scrappy bits that were left over of that. So I didn't have a full amount of it. So then I've just gone and done, because all those colours kind of were little friends together, and you had the marl there changed because obviously it was a bit of an ombre. But I really like this one. This is just, it's really happy. Lovely big fat juicy stripes on that. And then this one here is the one that I knitted while I was up in Auckland. There's the Stornoway Delene, our favourite Delene and I both have love notes. Both have love notes knitted in the Stornoway together. We're like, in fact, I've got a photo of the two of us. We're like little Stornoway twins. We both adore it. It's like an oil slick. Can you see that? It's like an oil slick. If that is still available, I haven't checked the Skeins website actually for a few weeks, going to talk about that in a second. If that is still available and you can get your sticky pulls on it, do, because it's such a fantastic colour. So there's the Stornoway. What else have we got in there? We've got some more of that mustardy ochre colour. I think that one is a white gum wool. I can't remember the name. The green, that green is actually a green with possum in it. That green, I have got a project, I think I called it the Fern Shell. No word of a lie, I knitted that sucker. Was I even doing some work? It would be close. Must be 18, 20 years old. I knitted it right at the very, 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 very beginning of when I started working at Design Spun and Skeins, well, pre-Skeins. Skeins didn't exist then. It was a long, long time ago. So that is a I think it was called Jamie Possum. It was a 20% possum we did. And I had some of that. I bought some of that. It was a fantastic yarn, and I couldn't believe it. I found a part ball left over from that. Proof that I am a yarn hoarder and I don't throw anything away, but left over from that project. So that has cropped up in a number of projects. It's cropped up in some of the tessellations, and I couldn't believe I had it. It's such a beautiful yarn. And then this here, this little lovely coloured one here, which has got a few Stornoway stripes with it. This was I think we called it Olive Garden, or I can't quite remember, but this was a double pass dye trial that Peter Chats from Skeins did one day. And he ran basically a couple of bulk hanks through to see what it would look like, and that was what came out. And I found a couple of those. That was in my, what I call my sample ball library. Wasn't even a full ball. Not all of it was in good condition because it has been literally in my drawer that I used to keep these things, and little crawlies got in there, so I had to do a little bit of decom. But it's just so much fun. So it's that one there. So those are all what I've got right now. I'll probably, I haven't photographed those yet and put them up, but I will. Before I dive into what I'm going to finish with, before I get on to proper project knitting. Skeins, if you haven't caught up, the Skeins Epic Sale starts this weekend. And so it feels a bit weird for me because this is going to be the first Epic Sale that I've had zero involvement with, other than being like you and being a consumer on the other end. I saw in the email today that they're pulling the website down to get everything ready. The shop's closed today, and then it opens from 10 o'clock tomorrow, which is Saturday. What's the date today? Today's Friday the 6th. That'll be Saturday the 7th. That kicks off 10 a.m. This epic sale is going to be exceptionally epic because it is the last epic sale where they've got a huge number of yarns left over from the Design Spun Mill before its closure. So if I were you, and I know I will probably do this over the weekend, if I were you, that's when I would be diving in and picking up some of those yarns. So I wouldn't necessarily be shopping on price. I would be shopping on what those yarns actually are. I've been doing a bit of that anyway. I have to admit, as I make it no secret that I'm a massive Gaia fan. I think it's, from as far as yarns are concerned, it was probably one of the best yarns that we made out of that mill in a very, very long time, and it came out just before I left, so I just adored it. And then the 4-ply version came out a few months back. So I have stocked up on that because I absolutely adore it. So I've got several project lots of Gaia there. I've also stocked up on a lot of mohair as well. So yeah, so if you want, I mean, my advice to you is I would be looking at some of those yarns that you know that you're never going to get again. Things like the Flight and Pulse, and there'll be others coming through that they will be developing with their contacts further down the track. But I would be going nostalgic. I would be looking at some of those one-offs, those special yarns that were produced just at the end of the mill. Yeah, those would be the ones that I would be going towards. I'm actually having to fight myself because I know that once I go on there'll be so much that I want that it will just be obscene. And I'm trying to, de-yarnify myself. De-yarnify myself from so much, because I just have so much. But I know I'll succumb. I'll probably wait for the opening weekend to pass, because I mean, this is generally how it rolls. The first 2 days are ugly. Like they hit the website, it's really intense, and so many orders come in those first 2 days. I think what I'll probably do is I'll have a look early next week, and then it'll be like this karmic thing that whatever is left is then meant to be, as opposed to jumping into the bun fight over the weekend. That's just me. But see how you go. If you've already done your research and you've already got your project sorted and you know exactly what it is that you want, I am so proud of you. Well done. I know that's something that I advocated for years to get people to do. And if you've done that, good on you. And go for it, I say. Right. Now, before I head off, this is the last bag that I'm going to dive in for hats. And I'm just going to put these here. So, because I've already used, oh, let me move those. Right, this is what I've decided to do. In my little oopsie bag of tricks here, I have a collection of these, which were yarns. You was talking about those Gotlands before. So these are Mithril by Stainsborough. We did these for them. So these were the colour, what we call the colour samples. So these were the balls. So I only have one of each colour. So these were the balls that we would do a range. You take a colour from each range, and these were like your, what we called the library colours. So you would refer back to what were the original colours back when a range was produced. So there they are there. I think there was a blue one. Have I missed a blue one? Oh no, there it is there. Right, there it is there. So I have a ball each of those. So you may have recognised that guy's cropped up in the first batch of hats. So did this one here, cropped up in that first batch of hats. So I have all of those. So that is what I'm going to work on. Those are my next hat projects. But no, so they're at the finer end of DK. So they are a DK weight, but they're at the finer end of DK, and they've got this lovely furriness to them. Now, because I'm going to do stuff with them, and I'm going to do multiple colours in each hat and try and mix it up as much as I can, and it is slightly finer weight, I thought I'd double strand and marl all the way through, which will help increase the weight out. Now, I have a collection, and I'm going to start with these two and use these two first, and if I need to go to the third, I will. This is Kinu from Ito, which I bought years and years ago from, I think it was Newton House that came to Cannes many years ago. And it's a Japanese yarn. It is silk, 100% silk. So it's a rough silk. So it's got this beautiful texture. And you may have seen in the hats that I did that went down to down with my son, one of them had this guy running through it. I had this left over from, I did a hitchhiker with a beautiful alpaca that was a finer DK as well, and I wanted to fatten it out, and that's what I've got left from that. So I thought I would use, because as you can see, like there's, I thought I would use these two to tie together and run through as a constant theme through the next hat. So all of these are going to be marls. I'm going to use those. But I do have this one. I've actually got heaps of these. These are not just the only three I have. I've got a whole heap of them. But I've also got this lovely green there. And of course I've got, and already I can see things happening. So I've pulled these out because I think that's going to be a really great use of those with these hats all the way through. So that's the plan. That's the plan, Stan. So I'm probably, how many have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 balls there. So that's sort of around, I should at least get 4 hats out of that, 4 minimum, if not even more. So that's the plan. I've got a little bit of that thrown in there. So that's a bit of chatswood. So I'll use that. And I even found this guy, which is a bit of possum as well. So he's in there too, because that is just, was it possum or angora? No, that one's possum. That's naturally partial ball that I think I made a hat out of. So I'm going to do something with that too, whether or not that is using these or whether or not I use some other leftover bits that I've already got from that other bag. And then I'll stop. She says, optimistically, like she thinks she's going to do it. I don't know. Then I'll stop. Or at least take a pause, or at least start working on the sweater. I'm procrastinating, I know I am. But I think that's the plan, because that's the sweater there. That's what I'm going to do the sweater in. This was the ball from the, it's a Templi. This was the ball from the swatching. It's gorgeous. The colour, my son picked the colour. It's great yarn. I'm not going to have any, have you ever been somebody who's, you're knitting something for someone else and they've picked the yarn and you don't like it? Like you don't like the yarn and it's such a chore. You're like, there's almost resentment in every stitch because you don't like the yarn. I don't have that. I love the yarn. This is called Chinchilla. I basically bought pretty much the last, it was in the skein shop, and he came in with me and I bought pretty much the last of what they had. So I'm really, really happy with that. So that is not going to be a chore. I am going to be able to finish that up. But I need to get myself off my hat funk and start doing something else. I know. It's just hard because they're so easy. They're so quick. It's in my brain. I'm not having to refer to a pattern. And it's just, and it's something about the sense of completion. And again, thank you to the wonderful Delene. She actually sent me a link. In fact, I think I can find it. It was a fantastic link for a charity that goes around and sells hats to raise money for, I think, was it cancer or chemotherapy patients or something? And they do sort of workshops all around the place. So I think they'll probably end up there. Or failing that, I may even just start sending them. I may even just send them all down to my son to give them out around the halls to starving students. I might do that too. He'll love that. He'll think he's Santa with his hat. He'll go around giving people hats. Probably will just do that, I think. Just send them down to him. This one I might keep though. I quite like this one. This is my colours. As you can see, it's my colours. Actually, this will probably, I might put that on you. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Take care. Good weekend. I want you to have a great weekend this weekend. And as I mentioned before, knitaustralianights.com is the place if you want to register for the Bendigo event. If you want to have a look at what we did last year at New Zealand, knitaugustnights.co.nz, or all our socials for both events is under Knit August Nights on Facebook and Instagram. And yes, I'm working on updating where I'm at with the New Zealand event. As I said, I'm just putting puzzle pieces into place in terms of classes and stuff now, and I hope to get something up before the end of the month, or at least by, the end of the month, so you can have a whole month to plan on what you want to do before registrations open 1st of May for New Zealand. But on that note, have a good weekend, happy knitting, and I will see you again soon. This is the Sable Society with Maree. Happy stitching.